Hello YouTube. Today we're going to talk about the database of Airbnb, and the topics we're going to discuss today are entities, attributes, relationship, and ER diagram. So what is Airbnb? Airbnb is an app where travelers can accommodate their stay based on their preferences and budget, and directly connect with the host and book this stay with confidence. So basically, when you go for vacations, you can rent a place on your preferences and on your likings. So that's what the Airbnb is, and now we're going to talk about the entities. Coming to entities, we have user, property, and host. So talking about user, we have user ID as the attributes. We have user ID as the primary key. Primary key should not be null, and it should be unique. So we have user ID, and then we have the name, which should be null, which should not be null, and then we have the email, which should be unique, which means only one email should be. Email should be unique, and password should also not be null because it's cannot be 0. And phone number has to be given, and date of birth, and after that age is derived from date of birth, and then after that we have a profile picture. It's a reference for user profile picture. And then coming to properties, the attributes of properties are property ID, which is also primary key, which has to be unique and not null, and then host ID, which is also foreign key, which is linked to the host table, and then we have title should be not equals to 0, and then description and the location, which is also not null, and the price per night and rating. And coming to host, we have the attributes of host are host ID, which is primary key, and user ID, which is foreign key, which is linked from the entities table over here. Foreign key is basically used to link two tables or two tables together. And then host description you have to be given, and host rating should also be given. So coming to booking, representation of booking made by the user for the property. So booking ID and is primary key, which means it's unique and not null. And then property ID we have, which is a foreign key. And then we have user ID, which should not be null, and check-in date, which is made by the user for check-in for the stay. And similarly, we have the checkout date when the person is gonna exit. So then we have the total price of the made by the user for staying in the particular place, and then we also have the status. So coming to review, represents a review left by a user for a property. The attributes are review ID, property ID, user ID, rating, and comment. And rating should be not null. And then we have amenities. We have the amenity ID, amenity name, and then features available and properties. Okay. Then we have the transaction ID, which is primary key, and also we have a booking ID, amount, payment status, and timestamp. And then coming to types of attributes, we have primary key, which should be unique and not null, as we have discussed before in many of the examples. And then we have user ID, which is UID. So basically, this works like whatever the name is, just take the first letter and put an ID. It's just naming them. So you can put UID for property ID, for host page ID, just like that. You can see the rest. And then we have foreign key. Foreign key is related, we use it to link two tables together. And then for property we use HID, and for host we use UID. It's basically just to link two relations, to make relations between two tables. So here are the relationships. So as a relationship we have the user-host relationship, which is one-to-one relationship, and the user booking relationship, which is one-to-many, and then host property, which is one-to-many. So Wait, stop.
Now we are going to come to the ER diagram. So let's start drawing the ER diagram. So first we can draw the host. So we got to make the squares for host, and the host contains the descriptions, HID tag, and the description tag, and the rating tag. So first let's make it. Let's go with medium size, because why not? Host, that is not medium size, but whatever. Host, HID tag, host description, host rating. Okay, now we gotta go with the host that owns the property. Now we gotta go to the relation between the host and the property. Since the host owns the property, we gotta make a relationship between them. So let's make a relationship between that. Host owns, another arrow, property. Owns the property. Property. Let's make it even compact. Host owns the property. Okay, and then we have the, wait, why is the arrow like this? Host owns the property. Just clean that up, and then after that, okay, the property, and the property. Okay, now the property has title, price, rating, description, PID, and it also yeah, that. So first we will do everything that is related to the property. So for the property, we have the title first. We gotta make more arrows. This is for the title, and this is for the price, rating, description, and PID. Okay, and then we have to make circles for the title. Okay, let's do title first. We have the title first. You want to change the color? Let's change the color, because why not? Change the color of title. Let's put title here, title, and then next we have another circle, which is the price tag. Price. Then we have rating. We have the rating. And the description here. Description. And then we have the property. this, yeah, so the property, let's change the color. Okay. The property consists of the title, price, rating, and description. And yes, we forgot the PID, so let's make that too. So PID. PID. Okay. Now we have done everything about the property. Now we have to do what the property consists of. So the property consists of amenities. Amenities are something like when you go to a resort or something, you find swimming pools, or you find something, some saunas or something interesting about the place and about the features about the place. So those are amenities. So let's talk about the amenities of the place. And there are many amenities, so it's going to be a many function. So many relationships, sorry. So we're going to draw a line. We have to make another one for amenities. Oops. Amenities, and then the amenities consist of a name and an AID. So let's just change the color real quick. Let's make it blue. So the important ones are in the blue, which are the main topics. The subtopics are in green. So let's write amenity there. Amenity. Amenity. So amenity consists of a name and and an AID. Green, please. It consists of a name and a AID and a name. So far the diagram is looking like this. Let's zoom back in, and then amenity, we got the amenity, and now the 1 second. This is a diagram which I made for yeah. So now we have done the property, the amenity. Now the property, let's go for the property. Now the property, before going to the property, we have done what it is, and now let's go to the review. The property needs a review. So the review, you have to make a review which is one relationship. It's associated with many reviews. One property is associated with many reviews basically. So let's make that yellow color, please. Post blue, green. Okay, it looks better now. Now the host, let's go for the review, but it is associated with the properties associated with this associated with is associated with is associated with review. It is associated with review, And review has three subtopics, which is rating, RID, and content. So basically, rating is comes under the review. It's basically the rating of the place, and the then we have the tag, which is RID. We have the RID tag, and then we have the RID tag, and then we have the rating tag, and then we have the content tag. So basically, yeah. So let's make these circles, which is green circles, RID, and then we have the four. We have the RID. And we have the rating, and we have the content of the rating, content of the review, and then this is yeah, content of the review. So now let's go to the user. Now how is the user related to all of this? So let's find out how the user. Let's make a separate column over here for user. So this is the user basically. Let's make it blue, user, and then we will write it here. Can I write it user? No, I can't. So user, we got the user there, and then user we got to connect it. Now the user has to be associated with the host. Okay, user should be associated with the host and it do booking. And first let's link the user and host together. So how do we do that? So we put an arrow between them. So can be associated associated, let's put it, make it small, associated to host. Okay, now the user, what all does the user contain after we link the host and user? Okay, what all does the user contain? So the user contains a date of birth, an email, date of birth. So let's talk about date of birth first, because there's one small concept around it. So green tag. So we use content date of birth. So from that, fine. Yeah. So the date of birth contains the age. The age is derived from the date of birth. So when the like the date of birth is given in the app, the age will also be derived from it. And then you have the email of the user. You have the email, and then you have the UID. You have the phone number, and you have the name. So let's create the circuits for this. So age, email, UID, then we have the phone number, then we have the name. Okay, so the user part. Now what can the user do? What is the user supposed to do? It's an Airbnb app, so the user is supposed to book. The user does the booking, and what does the booking lead to? It leads to transaction. It leads to transaction, and then when the user books only, it leads to transaction, and the transaction leads to user does booking, and booking leads to the transaction, and it also the booking also leads to the property. So we have got a link to the property and the transaction, and then we are done. So first we got to do for the property. So how do we do that? The user does the property. User do property, and the property after that, when the user does the property, user does the property, and the property does the, and you do the booking. Where is my color? Booking. Okay, and the booking leads to what? The booking leads to transaction, and the booking leads to transaction. We have the transaction here, leads to transaction. Transaction. So in the transaction we have TID, and then we have timestamps and the amount. So TID is the ID, timestamp is the amount of time, and like if it has been reached or not, and then amount. So basically the amount, TID 5 amount. Now let's make this circles. Circle. We have the TID, then we have the timestamp, and then we have the amount. Then we have the amount. Okay. And okay, just checking that the video is still recording. I don't want my work to go to waste. How funny would that be? And then amount, transaction, and then booking leads to transaction, booking. Okay, so we have done for the transaction. Let's change the colors. What are the colors? Green. No, it's background green. Green. Okay, so we are done with that. So now let's we have to link the booking. Okay, now for booking it leads to transaction, right? But we'll talk about the booking. So let's talk about booking. Now the booking has the checkout time when booking has the checkout time, and it also has the total price, and it also has the check-in time and the status and the booking ID, which is so uh, checkout time, and okay. Now the booking has the checkout time. This is the time when the user checkouts from the property, and we have the check-in time, check-in in. Then we have the booking ID, BID, then we have the status of the booking, status if it's successful or not, and then we have checkout. Is that it? Checkout, BID, total price. Yes, we are missing the total price. Total price. Okay, now we have only left with one thing, and that is linking the booking and the property, because the booking is directly related to the property. So we gotta make here booking. See, so basically the user does the booking, which in many of the property, like it leads to many of the properties. Booking can be done in many of the properties, but like booking has to be done, like at last the user only chooses one property. So we can write off, let's change the color to yellow, then of the booking of the property. Okay, so we zoom out. We have successfully completed the ER diagram. This is the ER diagram. This is the ER diagram for Airbnb. Thank you so much for listening to my class, to my lecture. See you again.